Hello, I'm Jim Rohn. Have you ever wondered why your relationship feels like an endless spiral, or why the sense of safety and warmth always seems to escape when you need it the most? Today, we're going to explore the moment an avoidant realizes they've lost you. This will happen. A complex psychological phenomenon that is deeply familiar to many of us. This is the moment when the fear of getting hurt, anxiety about loss, and emotional withdrawal start to take root, transforming the way we approach and maintain relationships. If you've ever felt stuck in love, constantly questioned what's wrong with you, or allowed fear to take control when facing emotional intimacy, then this video is for you. Together, we'll delve into why avoidant individuals tend to maintain distance in relationships, and how the moment they realize they've lost someone important can become a turning point for life change. Through this, you'll uncover hidden secrets within the mind, things you may have never dared to face, but are actually the key to unlocking true happiness. Imagine, in an unexpected moment, you realize all the signs you've ignored, the tiny signals that now bear the heavy weight of loss. That is the moment when emotions surge, when you begin to ask yourself, what have I lost? And it's precisely that moment that can be the time to courageously change, to rebuild trust, and to seek a healthier, more fulfilling relationship. In today's video, I will share deep insights, real-life examples, and practical advice based on my own experience to help you overcome pain and reclaim your strength. If you find this content valuable, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you won't miss upcoming videos. Join me on this journey of psychological exploration and rebuilding meaningful relationships, starting from the moment of realizing they've lost you. Imagine a person who constantly craves love, but fears losing their freedom. That is exactly someone with an avoidant attachment style. At first, they dream of having someone to love, and when they meet the right person, they dive into the blissful early stage of the relationship. But as the relationship starts to deepen, the deep-rooted fear within the avoidant individual begins to awaken. Their sense of freedom seems to be threatened. This is when everything starts to become unpredictable. The moment they feel tied down, they begin preparing to leave the relationship. Interestingly, the moment they actually decide to break up, stage 5, is when they feel the happiest. Why is that? Because right after leaving the relationship, they experience a sense of relief, as if a burden has been lifted, reclaiming their personal space and feeling lighter without the pressure of emotional attachment. They enjoy a short period of freedom, like a psychological vacation, temporarily called the freedom honeymoon. According to research from Free to Attach, during this phase, the avoidant individual doesn't miss their partner because they're too busy enjoying the sense of regained independence. This ease and comfort help them reconnect with themselves, something they believe they lost when entering a serious relationship. However, the most paradoxical thing is that in this seemingly happy phase, they unknowingly plant the seeds of future regret. As time passes and the feeling of freedom becomes familiar again, they begin to wonder whether breaking up was the right decision. That is, when they realize they have truly lost you, and at that very moment, you become a memory they can never forget. A famous book called Attached by Amir Levine and Rachel Heller pointed out something very interesting. Avoidant individuals often equate self-reliance with independence, and thus, whenever a relationship becomes too emotionally close, they immediately feel like they are losing their freedom. In fact, this feeling of losing independence doesn't stem from actually being trapped, but rather from unconsciously activating a self-protection mechanism. A mechanism that causes them to withdraw to protect themselves from feeling controlled or tied down. That's why every time they break up, they enter a special period, a freedom vacation, where they feel incredibly comfortable not having the pressure to connect. And if you observe carefully, this stage is the complete opposite of the initial stage of falling in love. The blissful phase when the relationship first begins. This isn't a coincidence. It's actually an unconscious pattern deeply embedded in the avoidant individual's psychology, causing them to continuously cycle between the joy of starting a new relationship and the relief of regaining freedom after each breakup. In other words, the avoidant individual enjoys the safety of love when it's just beginning, when there are no strong attachments yet, and then, as the relationship deepens, they become fearful, avoidant, and eventually leave, only to return to the state of freedom they always longed for. What's notable is that they are often unaware of this process. Thus, they remain stuck in an endless loop of fleeting happiness, from love to freedom and back again, without realizing they are imprisoning themselves in this cycle. Let's try looking at the issue from this perspective. According to research from Free to Attach, avoidant individuals are very skilled at hiding their emotions. Right after a breakup, they often appear calm, show no signs of distress, and easily move on to someone new. Instead of healing themselves, they seek a new partner, partly because they believe a new relationship will help them forget unpleasant emotions. When starting something new with someone else, they feel more at ease and secure because at that moment, they don't have to directly confront their deeper emotions or the responsibilities from the previous relationship. However, there is one point that I keep thinking about. Does this approach truly help them overcome pain effectively? One common notion in dating videos is that most claim such rebound relationships often do not yield positive outcomes. Many believe that a new relationship right after a breakup is merely a way to avoid pain rather than truly heal. Those who continuously jump into new relationships to forget the old one often repeat the same mistakes, ignore warning signs, and ultimately end up hurt again. However, recent studies suggest the opposite. According to The Atlantic magazine, a study on recently broken up individuals showed that those who quickly began a new relationship often felt more confident, more attractive, more trusting of others, and found it easier to forget their feelings for their ex. Amy Hackney, a psychology professor, also emphasized that people who start dating soon after a breakup recover faster than those who spend a long time alone. This may explain why avoidant individuals unconsciously use new relationships as an effective way to soothe the pain, and thus they keep moving from one honeymoon phase to another without realizing it. At Georgia Southern University, psychology professor Amy Hackney conducted a rather interesting study on college students. The results showed that those who quickly started a new relationship after a breakup tended to get over the sadness more easily than those who chose to be alone. This contradicts the popular belief that rebound relationships only lead to disappointment. It seems that avoidant individuals in love have unconsciously recognized this, which is why they continually seek joy from new romances. Right after the initial honeymoon phase, when meeting someone new, they once again enjoy the comfort and freedom after a breakup. But there is something that intrigues me even more. How many people actually use rebound relationships as a way to cope with sorrow? I spent hours searching but found no clear results. A few minor sources suggested a figure of around 7.5%, but they weren't really reliable. Eventually, I decided to conduct my own survey within my community. The results were surprising. Nearly half, 52% of participants confirmed that they had entered a new relationship to quickly forget an ex, while 48% said they did not do so. The special point lies in the remaining 48%, those who do not choose the quick recovery path. For them, the pain of a breakup does not easily fade away, and their psychology goes through two very distinct phases. The first is prolonged hurt, as they realize their loss, followed by a deep state of sadness that constantly makes them ask, "Why does this always happen to me?" Like dominoes, once the first pain appears, it quickly leads to a sense of collapse and disappointment. That's why many avoidants choose to jump immediately into a new relationship to avoid facing these negative emotions. According to the book Free to Attach, a rather interesting psychological phenomenon happens to avoidant individuals. They usually only truly miss and long for their ex when that person has completely disappeared from their life. It is precisely the complete loss of contact, the impossibility of returning, that makes them feel safe, because at that point, their anxiety and defense mechanisms are no longer triggered. At this moment, their mind begins to form an idealized image, a perfect ex called a phantom ex, someone who is better than reality, someone they believe would bring happiness if they could return. In a very profound passage from the book Attached, the author emphasizes that when a person undervalues their relationship, they often only realize the other person's true worth long after the relationship has ended. By then, all the negative memories magically disappear, and they vaguely begin to wonder, "What did I do wrong? Why did I lose that person?" At that moment, the avoidant individual sinks into a sweet nostalgia, regretting the person they unintentionally let go of. This is when the Phantom X syndrome becomes most evident. Phantom X is an illusion, a perfect lover who doesn't truly exist, but always surpasses all real relationships they've ever had. The avoidant individual unconsciously longs for and chases after this idealized figure, which prevents them from truly recognizing and appreciating the person right in front of them. By endlessly chasing an unreachable image, the avoidant gradually loses the ability to love genuinely and commit long-term to a relationship. And the saddest part is, the more they pursue Phantom X, the further they drift from the true happiness they're always seeking. There's something I always wonder about but rarely see anyone mention. Does each avoidant person have only one Phantom X, or can there be multiple Phantom X's? I tried to find an answer, but no one really discusses this. However, I believe that each avoidant individual can absolutely have multiple Phantom X's in their life, depending on different moments or significant milestones in the past. For example, the first person who made their heart flutter in school, the first person they deeply bonded with, or even someone they once lived with in the past. Every time they move into a new stage of life, there's always a possibility for a new Phantom X to be formed in their mind. But even more interestingly, I believe that Phantom X does not necessarily have to be a real person. Sometimes it's simply an ideal, a model that they fear they will forever miss. But let's return to the main topic. The important thing you need to understand is that in the final stage, when the relationship has truly ended, the avoidant only begins to idealize you, turning you into the perfect Phantom X. And only when this happens do they consider coming back to you, which means they continue to repeat the same cycle from the beginning. However, for the Phantom X to appear and for the avoidant to genuinely feel the desire to have you back, you must make them realize that they have completely lost you. As emphasized in the book Free to Attach, avoidants only truly miss you when you have completely disappeared from their life, when you stop contacting them, when you've truly moved on and they no longer have access to you. Only then does the avoidant have enough distance and a sense of safety to turn you into their Phantom X. And that is also our biggest dilemma. Let's go back for a moment to the sense of relief that avoidants experience right after leaving the relationship. That moment feels like a deep breath, freely enjoying their own world, escaping all the pressure and expectations from you. But the most important point that hasn't been addressed yet is the reason why many avoidants never move on to the next stages, stages 7 and 8, and instead keep repeating this cycle endlessly. In reality, the main cause lies in the deep fear inside the avoidant. For them, nothing is more terrifying than constantly having to face anxiety, insecurity, and emotional demands from their partner. The more you try to express concern, the more you keep asking them, "Are you okay? Do you still love me?" The more the avoidant feels suffocated. That is when their greatest nightmare appears, the feeling of losing freedom and the overwhelming responsibility to constantly reassure their partner. And so, instead of facing and processing the real emotional pain in the later stages, they choose to avoid entirely by starting a new relationship, or simply returning to the independent life they are so familiar with. This avoidant behavior has unintentionally prolonged their state of freedom honeymoon, and they have never truly confronted the pain or loss that a serious relationship brings. Let's look back at some real-life experiences for a clearer view. Have you ever gone through a breakup so painful it felt impossible to recover? I know many people who have gone through this. Breakups through text, being suddenly abandoned on social media, even being threatened with self-harm by the other person during the breakup. All of these cause severe psychological damage, making people afraid of any commitment or deep relationship in the future. But for avoidants, the nightmare is even more complex. They are not just afraid of being hurt. What they fear most is the expectation and psychological pressure from you. When you don't give them space to breathe, constantly demand attention and reassurance, you unintentionally make them even more certain about their decision to leave. Instead of feeling regret and wanting to return, they feel relieved to escape from you, further reinforcing their long-term avoidance. So what is the key here? If you want the avoidant to truly wake up and recognize your value, you must give them enough distance and freedom to clearly feel the loss. Only when they truly realize that you are no longer waiting, that you've moved on with your life without them, will they start to feel regret, longing, and idealize you from afar as a beautiful memory that has forever slipped through their fingers. So you've just walked with me through a profound journey exploring the psychology behind those with an avoidant attachment style in love. We have come to understand that behind the cold, independent exterior are actually complex emotions and psychological loops that even they themselves may not be fully aware of. The moment they realize they've truly lost you is also the moment they begin to understand the true value of the relationship. But this only happens when you truly know how to let go and prioritize valuing yourself first. I hope that through this video you found new and deeper perspectives on the nature of avoidant individuals, which will help you adopt a healthier approach, love yourself, and begin your own healing process. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video to the end. I would love to hear your thoughts and experiences on today's topic. Don't hesitate to leave a comment below and share your personal feelings. If you found this content helpful, please hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications to join me, Jim Rohn, on the journey of building healthier, more meaningful, and happier relationships in the future. Remember, when we understand ourselves and others, we truly begin the healing process. Once again, thank you, and see you in the next video.